finally, The Rock has come back to good content. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode of Monday Night Raw, I have to say, was very solid, okay? I honestly thought this borderlined on actually being very good. Now, I wouldn't say this is great or elite or amazing, but it was a solid episode, very solid / good episode of Monday Night Raw. Obviously, over the last week or two, I've been making multiple videos bashing the different aspects of WWE right now that just suck, right? The promos, the wrestling, the lack of wrestling, I should say, the stars not wrestling on the week-to-week shows, the slowness, the boringness, the monotony of some of these segments and promos and some of these storylines. But tonight, they actually did a solid job of introducing some new storylines. They limited the bad promo workers, like Rhea Ripley, for example, wasn't cutting any promos. They didn't have any of the boring garbage they usually have out there. They had only good people cutting promos, like CM Punk, for example. They focused on wrestling and made it good wrestling and made the matches entertaining. They had their stars actually wrestle. Drew McIntyre and Rollins were in the main event. It was a really good match. And they fixed the pacing, and I tuned in a little bit late, but I feel like there was less ads on this episode of Raw than there normally is in general, and that there definitely was when Raw was on the USA Network on cable. You see what I'm saying? And boom, you already have a solid show week to week. You don't need to have, Roman and Cena and all these people there every single week. Obviously, when they are there, you solidify the fact that your show will at least be probably at least average or decent, you know what I'm saying? In most cases, at least. However, even without them being on the show week to week, you can still make a solid episode of Raw or SmackDown week to week when you do those things. Limit the bad promos, focus on actually wrestling, have your stars be active in wrestling matches, fix the pacing, lower the amount of ads, and boom, you have a solid episode of Raw. Very simple stuff, so let's get into the breakdown. And quick side note before I jump into this review, my normal editing software that I use is currently the app is down right now, at least for right now, right? So I basically have to use a different editing service, so there won't be as many editing pictures, I guess I should say, throughout this video, but hopefully you guys still stick out. I know you guys are real ones, you know what I'm saying? You down with me, use? Yeet, you know what I'm saying? But thank you guys for bearing with me with the editing. Rhea Ripley started off the show. She basically got beat up as she was walking down to the ring. You know what I'm saying? Nia Jax just ran up and just beat her up out, and that basically sets up something that will happen later in the night, which we'll get to. But this was basically the start. Nia Jax basically just blasts her out of nowhere, slams her head into this wall or something like that, beats her up for 30 seconds. They get separated, and then that's pretty much that. We'll get back to that segment a little bit later. Then we have Gter and Jey Uso. Now, this is the one part of the night that I would say was genuinely bad. Now, everything else is at least can be considered average or maybe mid or above, but this was just a bad segment. Gter comes out, Jey Uso comes out first, I should say, and bores us to death. You know what I'm saying? This whole yeet gimmick, for his promos, it's not working. Once he starts speaking, I think that's when the yeet stuff needs to stop. When he's on his way to the ring and he's doing these incredible entrances like he had tonight, his entrance was phenomenal. That stuff is great. But once he gets out of that stuff and starts talking on the mic, the yeet stuff needs to stop. Just cut a classic, intense Jey Uso promo that tend to be usually pretty solid. You know what I'm saying? So just do that. But Jey basically says, your boy Jey Uso, yeet, 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 your boy Jey Uso is finna compete for the World Championship versus Gter on Saturday Night Main Event, and I'm gonna win that championship. Yeet, I'm gonna take that title. Yeet. And then before he can really get into what he's saying, Gter interrupts him. Gter basically comes out and he basically tells Jey Uso, what, huh? You think you're gonna win the World Championship? You know that that's not gonna happen, and so do I. The problem with Gter is this. Number one, he came out and got a mid-reaction, right? If you're a heel World Heavyweight Champion, you should be getting booed out of the building. Do you understand? When Gter came out, it was just, just noises from the crowd, Cody, Sami, you know what I'm saying? It's boring. Nobody really cares about what this dude has to say, and that's evident by the fact that when Gter came on the mic and started speaking, nobody was reacting to 90% of the stuff he was saying. He said, I won't be able to, differentiate you from your brother Jimmy, and no one reacted in the crowd. Then he said some other one-liner about the fact that we know Jay's gonna keep on betting on himself, and it's not gonna go anywhere. You don't follow up on your word. No reaction from the crowd. The crowd is not invested in what this dude has to say. They're not booing him out of the building. He has no heat, and quite frankly, his reaction, like I said last week, his reaction when he comes out is lower and less loud, I should say, than the reactions of Jimmy Uso and Sami Zayn, two glorified mid-carders who have done absolutely nothing, you know what I'm saying, at least relevant in their singles runs. So I don't understand how we're actually sitting here and accepting Gter as the world champion. Just imagine if John Cena actually won his 17th world championship versus Gter at WrestleMania. Are you kidding me? Are you serious? John Cena, right, goes from taking the championship from guys like Orton, Edge, Batista, you know what I'm saying? Triple H, you get what I mean? Shawn Michaels, you know what I'm saying? He fought Shawn Michaels in good feuds. Kurt Angle he had feuds with. Brock Lesnar, you know what I mean? Seth Rollins, he even had a banger with at SummerSlam and a good feud, where he was feuding with the Authority and stuff in 2014, all that other stuff, right? How in the world does John Cena go from having feuds with people like that and even beating The Rock at WrestleMania, beating CM Punk, you know what I'm saying? All that stuff, to having a feud in a eventual WrestleMania match with Gter for the world title? Are you serious? Do you see the precipitous drop-off that is occurring with that situation? John Cena should never be in the ring with Gter. Or should I say Gter should never be in the ring with John Cena. Just wanted to put that point in there because people are saying that Cena might win the 17th title from Gter at Mania. Please don't do that. If he's going to win it off of anyone, just give the title back to Seth or Drew and have them lose to Cena. Don't let Gter be the guy that Cena has to feud with for Mania. It's going to be boring and nobody's going to be invested in it. But this match between Jey and Gter is basically going to be mid. They continue to waffle on. There's like awkward pauses too. There's this one spot where Gter basically comes out after Jey says, "Yeet, what's good, bruh? I'm gonna take that title. I'm gonna earn your respect." And they just slightly stare at each other for like 10 to 15 seconds with no noise from the crowd. It's just a very awkward spot. This was an awkward, botchy, slow, and monotonous segment where Jey Uso offered nothing and Gter offered absolutely nothing as well. Very boring. Didn't get me any more hype for the match, and I already wasn't really that hyped to begin with. This match is likely going to be mid. It ends in a brawl between both of these dudes, and Jey hits a super kick, holds the world championship up for like 5 seconds. Gter stares at him and takes the title back, and that's pretty much that. Nobody cares about this match, and we know that Gter is most likely going to win. It would be cool to see Jey have that moment, but he's not going to win, so who cares? Then we get a backstage segment with JBL, baby. JBL is back. He's basically talking with the New Day, with Kofi and Xavier, and Kofi and Xavier are paying this dude $2 and put it in his jacket pocket, basically telling him to speak the truth on commentary and tell the world how great the New Day really is. JBL's like, yeah, I really do understand you guys, with Big E, he's so charismatic, the big muscles, the talent, everything, and everyone wants to see him, New Day rocks, but then they got to settle for you guys. And then Kofi and Xavier are pissed off, and then we bring it out to the ring. JBL heads down to commentary during the break, I'm pretty sure, and then after that, Rey Mysterio versus Kofi Kingston takes place, and this match from start to finish was simply just a very fun match. It was entertaining. There was good moments throughout. There was trash talk. There was antics from Xavier Woods on the sideline. It was a really, really fun match. I enjoyed it, right? The commentary was all good. You know what I'm saying? It was very, very solid in my personal opinion. I thought the in-ring work rate was great as well. And as I was, not great, but it was solid. And as I'm watching the match, right, I said out loud, I'm like, you know what? This match would have been a banger in 2009 because I remember seeing them wrestle in 2009. I'm pretty sure it was on an episode of Raw or SmackDown or something like that. And lo and behold, on the commentary, Michael Cole's like, these dudes have not, Kofi and Rey have not wrestled each other one-on-one since 2009. I was like, yep, I figured. I made me feel old for a second, that I actually got to, witness that live on TV when it happened back in the day, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, this was good. Rey Mysterio and Kofi still have that bounce. Rey Mysterio hit a really good springboard splash that, Kofi dodged, but it was really good athleticism. There were a couple botches here and there, but the fact that these dudes are still out here wrestling and they're like late 40s or even 50s at this point for Rey Mysterio. They're wrestling more consistently, and they've wrestled more times this year than Cody and Gter combined. So, I mean, you got to respect it, right? You got to respect it. Good in-ring work, entertaining, good trash talk and antics from Xavier Woods, who gets barred from ringside after kind of helping Kofi cheat for a second. And then Kofi, I think Kofi ended up getting rolled up, actually, and lost the match to Rey Mysterio. After this, Kofi and Xavier beat the crap out of Rey. I was hoping JBL would just come in, man, and hit that clothesline from hell on one of them, but he didn't. And then, the LWO came out. Kofi and Xavier run away through the crowd and then loop back around and beat the crap out of the LWO for a second and then run away down the ramp like heels do. And that was pretty much that. It was entertaining. It was fun. It was cool to see Kofi and Rey wrestling in the ring, of course. And the actual match itself was entertaining. And Rey Mysterio being able to wrestle like this for this long at this age of his career, very, very interesting. Very, very good stuff. And then we had Sami Zayn, and he basically came out and said absolute nonsense. This is the only other part of the show besides the opening stuff with Jey and Gter that I thought was mid. This was just stupid. Sami Zayn basically comes out out and he's like, I am going to declare for the Royal Rumble because the fact is I have never won a world championship. Yeah, because you're a jobber. But Sami Zayn he's talking about how he's never won a world championship, and he proceeds to basically bring up the fact. He says this isn't even a fact. This is just a stupid comment. Sami Zayn says out loud publicly to everyone listening, he basically says, right? He says that the only thing that's separating him from guys that he listed these guys for word, like Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns, etc., is the fact that they've won world championship gold and he hasn't. Are you kidding me? What are you talking about? Sami Zayn, right, is just going out here and saying absolute nonsense. The reason why Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns are in a different discussion than you is because they are better than you. Sami Zayn is a career mid-card jobber, and we have to accept these things. He was a great asset to the bloodline in 2022, don't get me wrong, and he's had great moments in his career, but this dude is a career mid-carder. He's never won a world championship. You know, even though they tried to make it seem like him beating Gter at Mania was some massive achievement, it's the Intercontinental title that he had already held 1 or 2 times at that point. So who cares? You know what I'm saying? Sami Zayn is a career mid-carder. So the fact that he even had the gall to bring up Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre and say the only thing that they're better at is that they've won gold and I haven't. Are you kidding me? Those dudes would run laps around this guy. There's a reason Sami was Roman's lackey for 2 years. Or for a year, I mean. Sorry. You know what I'm saying? Just stop the nonsense. So that was just a stupid comment. But Sami basically declares for the Rumble, and then he's interrupted by Kevin Owens, which was interesting to see him show up on this show. You know what I mean? Kevin Owens is still obviously saying, you know, that he's a WWE champion, acting delusional. And he tells Sami, I know you will win the Royal Rumble because I believe in you. You're my friend. Actually, no, you're my brother. You know what I'm saying? So they're tight. You know what I'm saying? They go back like car seats. You know what I mean? And basically, Kevin Owens is like, you know, I really do appreciate the fact that, you know, you had Roman's back at Raw on Netflix because that's the type of guy you are. You're a great guy. You know, I respect you. I love you. You know what I'm saying? Good news, by the way, guys, for all the libation lovers out there. Cody Rhodes will actually be on Raw next week, so expect an awful promo and expect him to come out in a suit and not wrestle. Just want to let you guys know that right now. Dr. Libations will be on next week's episode. Roman Reigns is supposed to be on next week's episode if they, you know, they follow what Heyman and him said on Raw Netflix episode 1, but we know that Roman is likely not going to show up. We'll see him at the Royal Rumble, and that's going to be that. But anyways, back to the segment. Kevin Owens basically brings up the fact that Sami, you know, he helps out those that he cares about and those that he loves, and that's why he's okay with him helping Roman at his match with Solo, and he expects Sami to do the same thing for him versus Cody Rhodes at Royal Rumble, because if Sami Zayn is truly a good friend who helps out everyone in need because he forgave Kevin Owens for what he did, he forgave Roman Reigns, he knows that Sami will be there for him when it matters at Royal Rumble in his WWE title match with Cody Rhodes. So this adds a new segment and a new element to that match and that story of like, holy crap, Sami Zayn might actually help this dude win a championship because Kevin Owens is spitting facts, bro. If you can help Roman Reigns, you should for sure be able to help KO, who's been your friend and your brother since the very beginning. You know, obviously he's turning him here and there, but in kayfabe, you know, Kevin Owens has been best friends with this dude forever pretty much now. So, you know, this would be, they also in real life as well. So, you know, there you have that. This is a pretty cool segment, and it issues an ultimatum to Sami Zayn. Will he help KO at Royal Rumble or will he not? Good segment introducing a new element to this Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes story that was basically on life support. Actually, no, it was already dead, but, you know, this minorly reignites it. I still don't care about the feud, but I am curious to see what happens in the match a little bit now. Then we get Braun Breaker and Sheamus backstage. Basically, this is just Sheamus saying, you know, I am excited, Catty Kelly. You know, Catty Kelly, you know, let me tell you something. The fact is that I'm going to win this Intercontinental Championship. And then Braun Breaker basically just interrupts him and basically says, after I break you and decimate your old behind inside of that ring on Saturday, you might as well just retire, bum. And then Braun Breaker just snarly just walks away, bro. This dude, Braun Breaker, man, I don't know why they don't put him more on the show, because he's great. Braun Breaker's good at promos, supremely athletic, and he's very good in the ring. This match with Sheamus on Saturday is likely going to be an absolute and utter banger after banger after banger. And speaking of bangers, we got Penta, who, listen, Penta's actually starting to grow on me, bro. Penta's entrance and his presentation is very good. It makes you feel like you're watching not only like a top-tier in-ring performer, but it also makes you feel like you're watching someone who actually matters. You know what I mean? Like Andrade, for example, puts on great matches week to week, but he doesn't really feel like he matters because his entrance and his whole gimmick and his story is not really there yet. And maybe as Penta goes along, you know, we'll probably lose interest in his story potentially as well. But right now, with the entrances, the gimmick, the cero miedo, you know what I'm saying? I really dig that, dude. I think it's good. He goes out here basically and has a match with Pete Dunne. Penta actually looked very solid in this match. So did Pete Dunne, of course. Pete Dunne's basically there to sell the moves well and put Penta over, which obviously Pete Dunne ends up losing. But the in-ring work here was actually very solid for the most part, right? Penta has a really good move set. He hits the Mexican Destroyer. He does the big dive over the top rope. Pete Dunne had some nice insiguris, and some of the moments where, he does a Cero Miedo and puts his fingers down, Pete Dunne would grab his fingers and counter it and do his finger submission things that he does. So that was really cool as well. Good interaction with that. And overall, this was entertaining. It didn't overstay its welcome. It wasn't boring. And it was a good match for what it was. I mean, it was like 8 to 10 minutes max. And Pete Dunne got all his moves in. Penta got his moves in and hit his nice little Penta driver as his finisher, which is a pretty cool looking finisher that I thought was good. So, there you have that. That was very fun. I enjoyed it. Penta's growing on me. Cero Miedo. You know what I'm saying? Cero Miedo. Now we have Bayley versus Nia Jax for the 15 billionth time. Now, normally I would be upset with this, which I still kind of am because I'm tired of seeing the same matches. Like I said last week in another video, I forget which one it was, I basically was talking about how we see the same collections of matches every single week on Raw, like Damian Priest versus some collection of the Judgment Day, or, we have a situation where it's like Pretty Deadly versus Garza, or Motor City Machine Guns and DIY versus Garza. It's the same stuff. Do you see what I'm saying? Because none of the stars like Cody and Gter, none of these dudes wrestle, so you're forced to put out the same matches with these jobbers. However, Bayley and Nia Jax actually put on a decent match tonight, okay? There was a couple there was multiple botches, I should say. I mean, this is expected with any Bayley and Nia Jax match nowadays. However, you could tell that they put intent effort into making this match at least watchable, right? Nia Jax was taking power bombs off the top rope. Bayley hit Nia Jax's finisher, the Annihilator. There was trash talking antics all over the entire match. Nia Jax took some really good bumps in this match. Bayley took some bumps. Bayley took a nice bump on or a gnarly bump on her shoulder or her arm kind of area too, so that was crazy. And Roxanne Perez was ringside, and so Roxanne Perez and Bayley basically get into an argument. They're talking trash to each other, carrying over that feud from last week that started or whatnot. And then after that, Roxanne Perez goes to try and slap Bayley. Bayley counters the slap and then forearms Roxanne in the head, and then Roxanne basically gets sat down. The security comes to grab her as she tries to interfere, and that's that. Then Bayley goes in the ring, tries to hit Nia's finisher on her and hits the elbow. Nia somehow gets out of that basically after she kicks out right before 2. For some reason, she's booked stronger now without the championship than she was when she had the title, but, to each their own. Anyways, after this happens, Nia Jax basically hits her with the Annihilator, destroys her, and attacks her injured arm. And then after that, Nia 1, 2, 3, Nia gets the W over Bayley, who is officially a Raw signed superstar now. So, I know nobody cares about that, but there you have it. Nia Jax and Bayley are also entering the Rumble as well. And then Rhea Ripley basically shows up. Rhea Ripley obviously doesn't say anything other than the fact that she's going to fight Nia Jax at Saturday Night Main Event for the World Championship. Rhea Ripley goes out there, brawls with Nia Jax for a couple minutes. She jumps off of the announce table onto the security and Nia Jax, which was a cool little moment there. And eventually, obviously, like I said, this sets up Rhea versus Nia Jax at Saturday Night Main Event for the Women's World Heavyweight Championship. So there you have this. This is a decent little 10 to 15 minute portion of the show. I'm not mad at it. When both competitors are actually really trying to make a good match, but maybe they just don't have the talent to do so, I'm okay with that. You gave it your all, you gave it your best effort, and you tried. At the end, that's just how it is in life. Once you give your best effort, whatever happens after that, it just is what it is. Anyways, now we also have the situation with Logan Paul, who is confirming that he will be on Raw next week in Georgia, and basically saying he's the greatest, he's this, he's that. And to be fair, in my personal opinion, Logan Paul is probably a top 5 or a top 10 talent in the entire company right now. He wrestles amazingly in the ring. He's easily a top 2 or 3 athlete in the company. And on top of that, Logan Paul cuts great promos. He's got charisma, and he's a very, very believable heel for on and off-screen reasons. You get what I'm saying? So Logan Paul's really good at his job with this company, and I'm actually really excited to see this dude show up next week. I think next week's Raw, if Roman actually shows up, like he's advertised to, or like he said he was going to with Paul Heyman, then this should actually be pretty cool. But is he going to show up? Who knows? Is Logan Paul even going to show up? Who knows? There you have it. Then we have CM Punk cutting an absolutely amazing promo. CM Punk is sitting up in the rafters, basically, right? He's with Jackie Redmond, and he's basically being asked about the Royal Rumble and how he feels about it. And CM Punk basically just grills every one of the main competitors in the match. He grills Seth Rollins and McIntyre, basically talking about how he beat them, or at least I think he brought that up. He brings up the fact that he can't see John Cena throwing him over the top rope and does the hand sign as well. He brings up Roman Reigns and how Roman Reigns ain't going to do nothing because, Roman needed his help at Survivor Series, so you have that dynamic. And CM Punk, he's so intense this whole time too, and it's very charismatic and intense promo from him. It was really good. He also brings up the fact that even if Hulk Hogan was in the Rumble, that he'd grab his dusty behind and throw him over the top rope as well, because my name is CM Punk and I'm winning this Rumble. So it was a nice little 1 or 2 minute segment there. Really enjoyed it. Like I said, limit the promos to people who actually know how to cut promos. If every week you're telling me I'm going to get a CM Punk promo segment, a Logan Paul video/promo segment, and then a segment between Kevin Owens, who's pretty solid on the mic, and Sami Zayn, who's pretty good on the mic at times as well, I'm okay with that. Let them cut the promos and let everybody else just do the wrestling part. Unless you want to interchange those people doing the promos for like McIntyre or Rollins or a Cena or a Roman or a Paul Heyman, etc. Unless it's someone like that, instead of cutting a promo or something, leave everyone else to do what they do best and just go out in the ring and wrestle. Start the match and be quiet. That's all you got to do. I don't want to see anyone cutting a promo who don't know how to do it. So Rhea Ripley not cutting a promo tonight was one of the best things they could have possibly done. So there you have that. And then we had a damage control match, which basically this was a good match. EOS Sky at this point is undisputedly the best in-ring performer in the company at this current day and age and at this current spot. The athleticism, the in-ring prowess, the skill, the moveset, the fact that she's super over in her matches too. A lot of women's wrestlers get no reaction when they're actually in the ring, wrestling their matches. But EO got the big EO chance as she was fighting. She's doing the moonsaults, the dodges, the missile drop kick. Zoe Stark even hit a nasty missile drop kick here. She dang near knocked out freaking Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai's head snapped off of the canvas, man. I hope she's okay. I wouldn't be surprised though if there was a report that comes out that she was concussed or something like that, because her head smacked off of that canvas, man. So yeah, I don't know what happened with that. Hopefully she's okay. But Dakota Kai, what's her name, Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler, they were all okay in this match. I mean, I guess Dakota didn't really get a chance because she kind of stopped wrestling after 3 minutes of the match. But EOS Sky did a good job. Hit her moonsault, closed the match out. Very good in-ring work rate. Zoe Stark looked solid in this match, and EOS Sky looked great in the match. I mean, they both just did a very solid job here. It was entertaining. They have good move sets. And Zoe Stark's missile dropkick and EOS Sky's missile dropkick are both actually pretty great. So there you have that. And then we close out the show with an actual main event level show match. When I was growing up, the norm was to have stuff like John Cena versus Randy Orton or Rey Mysterio versus The Undertaker playa, for the world title, the main event on an episode of SmackDown randomly, or like Edge and Jericho versus Jeff Hardy and CM Punk or some stuff like that, some combination of people like that, but now, it's a blessing. It's a special occasion when we get Drew versus Seth Rollins as the main event of Raw. Now, I'm glad they did this because this match was actually very good, as expected, of course. I mean, Drew and Seth are phenomenal in the ring. They're great professionals. But the fact is that this should be the standard for what main event should be every week. Every week, your main event should be either the Intercontinental Championship is being defended, the tag belts may be being defended, or it should be a match with main event level players like Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, your CM Punks, you know what I'm saying? Guys like that. Or even a Sheamus, in there, Logan Paul when he comes back in, etc. These are the type of people who should make up the main events of your show week to week, or at least 2 to 3 out of the 4 shows every single month. And there's no excuses. This is the bare minimum that is required, and it's the bare minimum that we should be getting. You know what I'm saying? Seth Rollins is just, at this point, there might be an appreciation post in store for guys like Seth Rollins and, LA Knight, and even Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns, Rey Mysterio, Sheamus, guys like that, because these are the people who really keep this company's lights on, man. Rollins wrestles so consistently that it's the only reason that he's really not wrestling every single week like he was a year ago is simply because of the fact that obviously they're leading up to Mania, so they don't want him to get hurt, and they also have to manage his injuries as he gets older. But the fact is that if this was 3 or 4 years ago, this dude would genuinely wrestle every single week. I mean, we saw when he was world champion, he was wrestling a match every single week. Literally every single week. He had 20 to 30 defenses in a 210-day reign. Cody Rhodes has 6 title defenses in nearly 300 days. You know what I mean? So it's like, well, like it's a complete difference. Rollins is the last fighting champion. He is a workhorse. Drew McIntyre is also pretty much a workhorse. When he's been in and when he's been healthy, he's wrestled at least twice a month, which is 2 times more than Cody and Gter combined. So I can't blame him. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but this match actually starts just good spots from start to finish, good trash talk. Seth Rollins' in-ring moveset is phenomenal. Same with Drew McIntyre. You know, Drew hits a spine buster. He had a Claymore from point blank distance after the match was over. Rollins hit a Falcon Arrow suplex. Drew, you know, countered out of that suplex and lifted him up for a suplex. It was really, really good. You know, there was another spot as well during the match. Rollins hit his signature like springboard knee that he hits off the top rope. You know, it was just very good. Entertaining, good in-ring work rate. The crowd was into it. They were actually chanting "This is awesome" for the first time all night, which shows me that this crowd in Dallas, Texas actually knows what good wrestling looks like. They're not just chanting "This is awesome" for every single match, you know? So they chanted "This is awesome" for this match because this match was indeed awesome. Good in-ring work rate, good story moments, good physicality, a lot of chops and gnarly clotheslines from Drew McIntyre. Very entertaining match, and it was worthy of the Raw main event. Seth Rollins ends up winning off of a cheeky roll-up, obviously, because they can't just have Drew lose straight up clean. I mean, you don't want to make either of them look weak. So, you know, even though you had Seth Rollins basically hit like 6 or 7 signature/finisher moves versus CM Punk, and then Punk hits 2 GTSs and Rollins is knocked out for a 3 count. But hey, we're not going to talk about that right now. Let's just talk about this. Drew McIntyre gets rolled up and loses the match. Afterwards, he's upset, so he beats up Seth Rollins and is about to like break his neck against like the post or whatever. Sami Zayn comes out to save him and helps him out for a second. And then after that, Sami Zayn gets Glasgow kissed in the head. You know, Drew McIntyre picks up Rollins and puts him against the turnbuckle. He's like, you think you're this? You think you're that? And then Sami Zayn, as they're in the turnbuckle, he's going to kick McIntyre, but ends up hitting the haluva kick on Seth Rollins. And the show basically ends with everyone looking shocked, Drew smiling, and then Sami and Seth look like they're at odds, and Sami's trying to explain he didn't do it on purpose. And that's basically how the show ends. Sami Zayn's arc is kind of semi-interesting going forward because he has threads with Seth Rollins, he has threads with Cody Rhodes, he obviously has threads with the Bloodline and Jey and Roman Reigns and with Drew McIntyre, and then now he has threads with Kevin Owens as well in this situation with the WWE Championship. So Sami's got some semi-interesting stuff heading up here, and we'll see what happens with him. Seth Rollins and Drew, banger to end the show. This show did a good job with pretty much all of the in-ring wrestling as far as I'm concerned tonight. The promo segments, I mean, 1 or 2 of them was honest. I mean, there's only 3 to begin with, right? 2 of them were, well, one of them was bad, one of them was okay, and the other one with CM Punk did was actually very good. So, you know, your promos part of it was average, you know, it was above average kind of, and then the in-ring work stuff was actually pretty good overall. So, overall, I would say this episode was like a solid 7.5 out of 10. This was a good episode of Monday Night Raw. Let's keep this quality going forward. It seems like week over week, they're getting better. You know, the first week was a solid like 5 or 6 out of 10 max. The second week was like a 6.5, and then now this week we have a solid 7.5. So maybe next week we get an 8 or an 8.5, you know, and then the week after that we get a 9 or a 9.5, and the week after that maybe we get a 10. You know, I don't think I've given one episode of Raw a 10 since I started making these reviews. I will say though, that Raw episode last year where The Rock was beating up Cody in the rain, that was, if there was an episode I would give a 9 or a 10, that would definitely have been the episode. But anyways, this episode was solid. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it, and let's just hope that it's only up from here. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you so much for your support. I hope you all have a phenomenal day, and as usual, peace out. One love.